Once upon a time, in the prosperous town of Boza, lived a wealthy businessman named Mr. Emeka Chuba. Mr. Emeka, his loving wife Mrs. Ifeoma Chuba, and their daughter Adaugo lived a life of luxury. Mr. Emeka was known for his intelligence, hard work, and generous heart. He built a business empire from scratch, earning respect and admiration from everyone in the community. Mr. Emeka had a younger brother named Anayo. Unlike Mr. Emeka, Anayo was lazy, loved parties, and spent money recklessly. Despite Anayo's wasteful ways, Mr. Emeka loved him dearly and believed in giving him chances to succeed. He funded Anayo's education, but Anayo dropped out due to his carefree lifestyle. Mr. Emeka then gave him millions to start a business, which Anayo squandered away on frivolous activities and extravagant parties. After several failed attempts and countless wasted opportunities, Mr. Emeka decided to stop giving Anayo any more money until he showed responsibility. One day, Anayo wanted to buy a new car to impress his friends and enhance his status. He asked Mr. Emeka for the money, but his brother refused. Anayo was furious and thought his brother's wife, Mrs. Ifeoma, was behind the refusal. Unbeknownst to him, Mrs. Ifeoma had actually begged her husband to help Anayo one more time. But Mr. Emeka stood firm, reminding her of the countless times he had already tried to help Anayo without any success. Desperate and humiliated, Anayo's friends suggested he visit a powerful native doctor named Ijaka, known for his ability to influence people's minds. They traveled to a distant village, and the native doctor gave Anayo a charm that would make Mr. Emeka agree to any request. Excited and filled with hope, Anayo returned home, greeted his brother, and immediately asked for the money to buy the car. Surprisingly, Mr. Emeka agreed and even accompanied him to the bank for the transfer. Anayo celebrated with his friends, thinking his problems were over. He bought the new car, threw lavish parties, and basked in the attention of his admirers. But as time passed, he kept asking for more money, each time using the charm to compel his brother to agree. Mr. Emeka's business began to suffer from the constant withdrawals. Mrs. Ifeoma grew worried but couldn't understand why her husband, who had always been prudent, was now so generous with his irresponsible brother. One day, Anayo asked his brother for money again. This time, Mr. Emeka vehemently refused, showing signs of frustration and confusion. He couldn't understand why he had given out so much money to Anayo in the past. Frustrated, Anayo traveled with his friend to see the native doctor Ijaka again. The native doctor warned them that the charm needed to be renewed regularly to maintain its effectiveness. Without renewal, the charm would lose its power. Desperate to maintain his influence over his brother, Anayo agreed to the renewal. Ijaka prepared a new charm with strict instructions for Anayo to follow. With renewed confidence, Anayo returned home, ready to continue his manipulative ways. Anayo's greed knew no bounds. His friends reminded him that Mr. Emeka had no son to inherit his properties. According to their tradition, if Mr. Emeka died, Anayo could claim everything since Emeka only had a daughter. This reminder resonated deeply with Anayo, fueling his ambition. When his friends suggested he eliminate Mr. Emeka to inherit everything, Anayo agreed without hesitation. They visited the native doctor again, who warned Anayo of a stringent condition. He must never sleep with a woman on a weekend, or the charm would fail. Anayo accepted the condition, blinded by his ambition and greed. One weekend, Anayo convinced Mr. Emeka to go out for a drink. He had already poisoned Mr. Emeka's food and drink. They enjoyed the evening, reminiscing about their childhood and sharing laughs. Within days, Mr. Emeka fell gravely ill. Despite medical treatment, his condition worsened rapidly. The doctors were puzzled and unable to diagnose the cause of his illness. Mrs. Ifeoma, desperate for a cure, sought help from a renowned hospital abroad. Mr. Emeka was flown overseas for intensive treatment. The doctors conducted numerous tests and treatments, but his condition continued to deteriorate. They eventually diagnosed severe poisoning that had irreparably damaged his liver and other vital organs. Heartbroken, Mrs. Ifeoma brought her husband back home after the doctors declared they could do no more. Back in the village, Mrs. Ifeoma turned to a highly respected herbal doctor, hoping for a miracle. The herbal doctor performed rituals and prepared special herbal concoctions. He revealed that the poison had spread too far, and only a miracle could save Mr. Emeka now. Anayo continued to pretend to be concerned, visiting his brother and consoling the family, all while secretly celebrating his imminent victory. Despite all efforts, Mr. Emeka's condition worsened. He confided in Mrs. Ifeoma, expressing his fears and regrets. He made her promise to take care of their daughter Adaugo and ensure she received the best education. Within a few days, Mr. Emeka succumbed to his illness, leaving his family devastated. Soon after the funeral, Anayo wasted no time in demanding all of Mr. Emeka's properties and businesses, claiming that without a son, the inheritance rightfully belonged to him according to their culture. He accused Mrs. Ifeoma of killing her husband and bribed village elders to support his claim. Mrs. Ifeoma and Adaugo were forced out of their home and had to move into a small apartment. Anayo's victory seemed complete. Determined to reclaim her father's legacy, Adaugo vowed to study law and fight for her family's rights. She excelled in her studies, driven by the memory of her father and the desire for justice. Her mother, Mrs. Ifeoma, worked tirelessly to support her education, taking up various jobs and starting a small business. After 6 years of hard work and dedication, Adaugo graduated from law school with flying colors. She was called to the bar as a qualified lawyer. Her mission was clear: to challenge her uncle Anayo in court and reclaim her family's properties. Meanwhile, an old lawyer who had previously worked with Mr. Emeka Chuba had become bedridden and was nearing the end of his career. He had handled many clients over the years, including Mr. Emeka. Knowing he couldn't continue, he transferred his practice to a younger lawyer. He handed over all his client files and instructed the new lawyer to reach out to every former client, to introduce himself and offer continued legal support. In going through the files, the new lawyer came across Mr. Emeka Chuba's file and decided to visit the business address listed. Upon arriving, he discovered that Mr. Emeka had passed away. Determined to fulfill his predecessor's wishes, he began asking around for any information about the surviving family members. A helpful employee directed him to Mrs. Ifeoma's contact information. The new lawyer reached out to Mrs. Ifeoma and arranged a meeting. During their conversation, he revealed that he had found a will left by Mr. Emeka. This will outline the division of all properties and businesses, assigning them to Mrs. Ifeoma and Adaugo. It stated that Anayo could only receive a portion if he demonstrated responsibility and reformed his ways. The will was a lifeline for the family, and Adaugo knew it was the evidence they needed for their case. With this newfound evidence, Adaugo updated their lawsuit, presenting the will and original documents to the court. The judge, seeing the clear intentions of Mr. Emeka, ruled in favor of Mrs. Ifeoma and Adaugo, ordering Anayo to return all properties and businesses immediately. Anayo was stunned and publicly humiliated, his claims and deceit laid bare for all to see. As the family celebrated their legal victory, a new twist unfolded. Anayo had broken the native doctor's strict condition by being with a woman during her weekend. This violation caused the protective charm to fail, leading to severe consequences. Anayo's health began to deteriorate rapidly, manifesting in strange and debilitating symptoms. Desperate and scared, Anayo confessed his wrongdoings to Mrs. Ifeoma and Adaugo, hoping for forgiveness. He admitted to poisoning Mr. Emeka and using charms to manipulate him. Mrs. Ifeoma, shocked and heartbroken, forgave him, but insisted that his fate was in the hands of a higher power. Anayo's condition worsened, and he sought help from the native doctor once more. The native doctor declared that nothing more could be done, as Anayo had broken the covenant. The spirits of the ancestors, angered by his treachery, could not be appeased. Eventually, Anayo was taken to a rehabilitation center, where his mental and physical health continued to decline. Despite the turmoil, Adaugo and Mrs. Ifeoma persevered. They returned to their rightful home and worked tirelessly to rebuild Mr. Emeka's business. Their integrity and dedication restored the company's reputation, and the community once again respected and admired the Chuba family. Adaugo, now a well-respected lawyer, dedicated her career to fighting for justice and helping those in need. She became a beacon of hope and inspiration, proving that hard work and honesty could overcome even the darkest of times. In the end, justice was served, and the Chuba family's legacy was not only restored but strengthened. Their story became a powerful reminder that perseverance, faith, and integrity would always triumph over greed and deceit. I hope you enjoyed this beautiful and captivating story. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on notifications to watch out for more interesting stories. Please share, comment, like this video, and stay tuned for more engaging content. Thank you for watching.